Chakshu unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tis Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, we can say this together. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay, so anyone got any thoughts from last week specifically? Okay, Neelam, you're going through your elaborate notes there. I think you could sell that as course notes, I think, you know, color coordinated and everything, yeah. Yeah, any thoughts from you?
Just the fact that we were talking about free will and how the philosophical view is the only part that makes sense because it's not a cosmic lottery, and explaining to people, you know, explains that people can remember things from their past life or there's things that come back to them, so that really stood out last week.
Nice. Well remembered and well written, yeah. Okay, good. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Thoughts, conclusions, reflections, anything at all? It's a standoff. I'll be money, it's okay, I'll allow you, you weren't here. Okay, it's no problem. Okay, anyone, any thoughts? Excellent. Okay, no problem. So last week, I think we're on this verse, right? Is it? We kind of finished off here. Let's get into it anyway. So can someone just read out verse 30? Let's not have the usual suspects here. Let's give others a chance. Shivani, yes, you're nodding your head no, but yeah, okay, go for it.
Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn, you yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and athletes. Verily, this is bewildering.
Okay, just also to give you a bit of context on this. If you remember, so we've gone from verse 28 to these next couple of verses here. We've kind of covered how Krishna comes himself to help those, and especially he reciprocates with those who want him to be in their life. So we covered that in some detail. And they're on this continual theme as well. Why do people misunderstand Krishna? We spoke about some reasons. What about Krishna's Leela in particular? So then we got on to verse 29. I'm just going to blitz through this very quickly. We spoke about these 3 reasons from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that your intentions can mislead anyone, even someone who's well versed in scripture. So we spoke about, for example, the Rasa Leela. Many people who know scripture, who would call themselves Vedantists, Vedic scholars, they still can't get their head around the Rasa Leela. It makes no sense, but a devotee can. Yeah. Then we spoke about how his activities resemble those of an ordinary being. So the supreme absolute truth is on the lap of Mother Yashoda, drinking breast milk. That seems like a human child, isn't it? So that's another reason why we get baffled. And then sometimes even when Krishna shows off, so to speak, shows something about his effulgence, his omnipotence, he shows Duryodhana that part of the Vishwarup anyway, still those who've got lust, those who have envy, just say, oh, it's just some sort of wizard, but anyway, I'm still going to win this war, right? So for these reasons, plus reasons we spoke about previously, people just don't get it still. So here Queen Kunti said, ultimately, Krishna, you're so amazing, if you want to bamboozle someone, you can. So the idea is, do you remember that thing about the pain part of this seminar? We were saying part of the reason why Krishna arranges his devotees to go through difficulty in this material world is it protects the confidential nature of bhakti. If you've got 2 lovers in the forest, in the bushes, so to speak, they're having a love interactions without anyone else realizing. In the same way, in this world, through the bushes of difficulty and sorrow and strife, Krishna and his devotee are having amazing love and reciprocation without anyone else realizing. So therefore, anybody who wants a different type of superficial relationship in this world with the demigods, with atheism, with their family, with their friends, Krishna still has interaction with his devotees without affecting any of those things, because those people don't want Krishna in their life. So he has love and interaction with his devotees, and he still maintains his system of gradual purification without disrupting it. Make sense? So only the devotee can know Krishna. It's a message he drums in several times in the Bhagavad Gita. That's why Dhritarashtra heard the Bhagavad Gita, he didn't become a devotee. Yeah? Make sense? Okay, so we spoke about this. I'm not going to go through all the finer points. I'm not sure if anyone recorded it last week, but if you wanted it, you could just ask someone who's recorded it. Okay? Somebody else who doesn't speak that often, verse 30. Bav, you want to give it a go? Don't get nervous, it's fine. It's just reading, okay?
Of course it is the ordering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is the ordering.
Okay, so we also did this as well, just very briefly. There's a few, you could say, paradoxes there. So Krishna is inactive. What does inactive mean again? I kind of said it last week. Does anyone remember? From this spiritual point of view, what does one who's inactive mean?
Beyond karma.
Yeah, okay, who said that? Flipping hell, Bav. Okay, yeah, you could do more than read. Yeah, exactly, right. One who's beyond karma. So generally speaking, typically speaking, stereotypically, it will be someone who's taken to renunciation, like Ashtanga Yoga, and they don't engage in society. But despite not doing their duties in society, they don't get any karmic reactions because they're on the path of yoga. So stereotypically, it's that negative, renounced type of person, right? But here, Krishna, who is Yogeshwara, the master of all yoga, he's working in this world. He's active in this world. He's got relationships in this world, right? But despite him being active, he's as good as inactive because he's beyond karma. Does that make sense? So he's active and inactive in that way. And also, even though he's unborn, he seemingly takes birth. So we spoke about how the sun seems to take birth for those with limited vision, but the sun is actually always there. Yeah? Does that make sense? This could be taken a little bit further. Krishna is always there in Goloka Vrindavan, but also his leelas in the material world are always happening in one universe and the next and the next. So in that way, there's always Janmashtami every day somewhere. There's always Gaura Purnima somewhere in the universe every single day. Interesting, right? So Janmashtami is actually eternal. In one universe or another, they're celebrating Janmashtami right now. Yeah? Does that make sense? So one Leela is being celebrated here, The next day's Leela has been celebrated somewhere else, and like that, it's just going round and round and round. And we'll talk about why Krishna does that in a few verses' time. Okay, so I'm just trying to remember what we said about this verse. This last thing. So to understand his Leela, his activities, one needs to understand the overwhelming force of his love. So one thing is, why Queen Kunti is remembering Krishna. Queen Kunti understands Krishna is the source of everything, including all the avatars. So when she remembers Krishna, she remembers Matsya avatar, Vamana avatar, and all of the different avatars, the ones that we know, the ones that we don't know. And why does Krishna take on these forms? For many people it's bewildering. Why an animal form? Why this form? Why a half human, a half animal form? Why a human form? Why a human form that looks like every other type of king? But Queen Kunti is understanding this is all because of Krishna's unconditional love, that he comes in all of these different forms and formats. And as she starts remembering all of these incarnations, their love and interactions with the devotees and how much love Krishna has, her heart starts filling with love, and we'll see in the next verse it overflows with love because she concludes something else specific about Krishna, more so than his other expansions. Yeah? Is that okay? So that's kind of where we finished off last week. And now we're going to start this week properly. I forgot to check with you guys online. Can you see the slides? I'm on this slide now that says alternate meaning, sorry. You can see it? Perfect. Okay. So we spoke about this word before, aja. Okay? Like we know, we spoke about the word adokshaja and how there's various meanings to that the Baladev Vidyabhushan has given. Aja means one who is not born, or one who doesn't come into being. It's got some poetic meanings as well. But here we've got a nice poetic meaning from Baladev Vidyabhushan, who's in our parampara. So he says Aja also means to reject, to be without. So he takes it from this meaning. So he's imagining Queen Kunti is saying this last verse, and when she's saying this word Aja, another hidden meaning to that is Queen Kunti is referring to how Krishna is involved in rejecting. So what's the meaning he's getting at? So this is very beautiful. So we'll go through this now, and then in your own time you could go back on that verse, look at the Sanskrit and see why Baladev Vidyabhushan is saying this. Where does the word Aja fit into the verse? Okay. So in particular, Queen Kunti, if you remember, she's going through all the different avatars, and then she thinks about Lord Ram's incarnation, basically. And we've got Ram Navami coming up on Thursday, so this is very timely as well. So then what happens is she remembers Vibhishan. I think we spoke about Vibhishan when we spoke about the verses from Padyavali. So who is Vibhishan again, for those who don't know? Oh, wait. Who's speaking? Yes. Kushbu, who's going to give us a 5-part seminar on the Ramayana, starting from today. Yeah, so it's a surprise. You can't write this stuff. Of all the people that could have answered, it was you, right? Why was that the case? Did you? No, she don't speak anyway. So do you want to tell us a bit about Vibhishan and your seminar? No, okay.
He was Ravana's brother, but he was a devotee of Ravana, and he was rejected by Ravana, kicked out of the kingdom, surrendered to.
Look how she's rattling off the facts like, it's common knowledge. Yeah, slow down a bit because we're not all on the same page. Yeah, go on. So he was Ravan's brother, and then what happened?
He tried to convince Ravana to let Sita go, kicked out the kingdom, he surrenders to Lord Ram. Sugriv tries to send him back, and then Hanuman says give him a chance, and then he surrenders to Lord Ram.
Okay, so the first thing is, Vibhishan rejected the association of his family members and friends, including Ravan. It was Ravan's lust for Sita, Ravan's envy for Ram, and ultimately Ravan's just, destructive lower tendencies that he tried to counsel in so many ways, but ultimately he could see there's just no point staying here and it will be detrimental to me. So he thought, if I'm going to die, I might as well die fighting on Ram's side, right? So then he goes with some of his intimate servants. They fly over the ocean to where the bridge is being made. And then what happens? Many of the monkeys see him and they say, no, you can't trust him. So they counsel Ram that actually he could be a spy. He's got mystical abilities. He could be your friend 1 minute, then he'll just go back and defect and reveal all our secrets and all the rest of it. So don't trust him. So pretty much all of them counseled Ramas to not trust him. But Hanuman said, no, he was reading the situation. I mean, he wouldn't be here otherwise. You could see. And then so what happened is ultimately they put this all to Ram, and Ram rejected the proposals of all of his devotees apart from Hanuman. And then he very famously says, I think I've done this verse before, so I won't do it, but Sakrid eva prapanoyas. So one who just once, Sakrid, even once, just says, Krishna, Tavasmiti, I'm yours. That person I award fearlessness for the rest of this life. Yeah, so the idea is Ram famously rejected Aja, the proposals of the Vanaras, the monkeys that said no to Vibhishan. And so what Baladev Vidyabhushan is poetically saying in the mindset of Queen Kunti, who's presenting this and thinking of Ram and thinking of this Leela of Vibhishan rejecting Ravan and then being rejected by the monkeys, but then Ram rejecting the monkeys' opinion and accepting him. So she's thinking of all of these things to do with the word Aja. Queen Kunti is saying, so what about us who surrendered to you and never left you? How can you leave us when you didn't leave such a person? Beautiful, right? So it's very nice sometimes to look at these Acharyas' commentaries. They're not always amazing in one sense like this. I've been through hours and hours of Acharyas' commentaries. It's just every so often you come across something that's really beautiful, poetic. And this is one instance of that as well. So Queen Kunti is saying, didn't you once say that whoever bows down to you, surrenders to you, you'll never leave them, including Vibhishan? So then what about us who are always bound to you and never leave you no matter what? Why are you leaving us now in this chariot? Why are you leaving our lives forever? So in that way, she's trying to pull on Krishna's heartstrings. You did this for one devotee, it's hypocritical if you don't do it for us right now. Different situation, obviously, but she's playing with Krishna like that. Yeah? Okay, does that make sense for everyone? Okay, cool. So now we're going to go from verse 30, because we did these couple of verses, into verse 31. So we're still on this theme of why people misunderstand Krishna's Leela. And in particular, now we're drawing on this topic of how people don't understand the nature of Krishna's love and how Krishna's love can overpower not just his devotees, but even himself. This is another reason why we can't see bhakti in Krishna's Leela. Yeah, does that make sense? We see the Leela from a karmic point of view, or we project our understanding onto Krishna's Leela. And one of the reasons why is Krishna's bhakti is so powerful, that it charms him, it controls even him. He wants himself to be controlled by it. And in particular, there's one pastime she's going to reflect on. I put a clue here. What pastime is that? Oh, the clue's there. Come. The clue is there. Who is that? Who's that in the picture? Huh? I don't even understand what language that was. Like what? That's Krishna, and who's the second person? Yashoda, his mother. So what Leela comes to mind? There's so many, but one particular. Damodar Leela. Yeah, exactly. All right, now you all know the answer. Okay, fine. Yes, so she remembers this most striking pastime of how Krishna's love overpowered even himself, that he allowed to be bound. That person who cannot be bound by anything is bound by simple ropes by his mother, but those ropes are ropes of love. So that love made Krishna forget his own omnipotence, his own ability, his own prowess, his own potency. Again, another paradoxical trait. Contradictory, but it's paradoxical, as we're going to reveal now, right? He's just a little boy that gets bound by his mother. How can he be God? No, but that's why he is God. Yeah? Because of the love that demonstrates. So, God seems to become weak and fearful due to the glories of Mother Yashoda, one of his best devotees. So let's get into this pastime. Obviously we go through it every time there's Kartik Mash. But just to sort of understand why this Leela is very difficult to understand, even for Queen Kunti, she's finding it difficult to understand. So let's see why that is. Who else doesn't speak much? Niksha, you don't even come much, let's face it. So by default, you don't speak much. Okay, why don't you read out verse 31?
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took a rope to bind you when you committed an offence. Your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me.
Okay, so one thing to know, it's more technical. If some of you look up this verse on your phone, verse 31, the Sanskrit, I just want you to spot if there's anything different in the structure of verse 31 compared to the last 5, 6, 7, 8 verses prior to it. What can you say? You don't need to be a Sanskrit scholar. Just look at it and look at the last few verses. The Sanskrit of it, yeah, not the English.
Where's this verse can be found?
Okay, don't worry. If you can't find it, don't worry about it. Okay, to make it easy, this verse and the last verse, 30, what's the difference in Sanskrit? Shamta, you're a Sanskrit expert, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know what's going to be humiliating if Bav gets another answer correct, okay? She's on it though, look at it. She's representing from the current Bhakti Life group. Krupa, it's okay, you're the Thursday group, so don't worry about it. She's like the elite Sunday group. Okay. Who's actually looked? Who's found? Who's got a mobile phone and knows like how to use it, other than using YouTube? Who's got it? Who's got these Queen Kunti books but don't know how to open the book? Like, what's the issue? Okay, it's very easy. Just the Sanskrit from, okay, I don't want you to like tax your brains and die here. Okay, verse 31, just looking at the Sanskrit. Verse 30, 29, you could pick a verse. Just tell me if there's any main difference between those two. It's a very easy answer, very obvious, super obvious. A 5-year-old will be able to tell me, okay? Yes, okay, thank God, Kushbu, oh my God. It's much longer, significantly longer. Huh?
I think that was a really silly answer. I didn't want to say it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So can everyone see that? It's significantly longer. Shivani, you can see it, yeah? Yeah? I'm not just forcing that opinion on you, right? So do you know when we do the Govindam prayers? Venam Kwanantam, that one, you could sing it in this meter. But the point I'm trying to make is, the reason why the meter changes is because it's illustrating how emotional this verse is for Queen Kunti. Same thing is there in Bhagavad Gita. It's pretty much got the same meter, Anustit meter, but then when you get to chapter 11, especially the verses when Arjuna is seeing the universal form for the first time, you get a change in meter, a change in length, and it's illustrating Arjuna's bewilderment, amazement, shock, like that. So sometimes poetically they change the meter, they change the rhythm and everything like that. So, and then it will go back to normal, you'll see, after this as well. So what's the main thing here that's disturbing Queen Kunti? So you can imagine Queen Kunti is visiting her relative, her nephew on Diwali day. So this pastime takes place on Diwali day. She brings the sweets from, Alpa, what's your relative's shop called again? Yeah, she went there earlier, bought a whole lot of sweets, gatia, whatever you Gujaratis eat, all the rest of it, okay? She got the gats, she's gone over there, she's gone to visit, and then what happens? She sees this Leela. And in particular, why is it disturbing? Why is it bewildering? What did she say in the verse? Huh? Because Krishna's afraid, okay, but to put it into context, so what's wrong with that? Fear personified is afraid of you. The person that's puts fear in fear personified is now crying because of his mother. That doesn't make any sense, right? Who's fear personified? Who's fear personified? Any guesses? Any guesses?
Krishna.
No, yeah, okay, no, wait, no. He's given fear to fear personified. So Krishna can be everything. So you're right in that sense, but you're wrong also. Like another personality. Huh? Death, yeah, Yamaraj. So the Lord of Death. Ultimately, everyone's afraid of death. Every species of life is afraid of death. So the idea is only one person really puts the fear of death in death personified, and that's Krishna. Because of him, everything moves, right? But that person who instills fear in everyone, that person is now crying like a normal, ordinary child. That's very contradictory, but it's paradoxical. So let's go through this. In fact, I might get you guys to tell me a bit about this pastime, because some of you guys have heard this pastime so many times. Even like this last Kartik month, some of you, like Liam, you were with me like a bad smell. He went to every house program I went to. I was in so much pressure because I thought I had to say a new side of this story, because Liam's there again. Every time, even when I don't invite him, he's there. And I'm like, God, I'm going to have to come up with like another dimension to this. Hopefully, Liam, there's been something new every time, right?
Yeah, it was different each time.
Okay, good. But I was under pressure. I was sweating it. If he wasn't there, I would have just said the same Leela. So, some interesting facts about this. Remember, this is Canto 1, Chapter 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam ultimately? To understand Krishna, his devotees, and where's the highest abode for that? You know, when your voice goes lower and lower, I could feel vibrations, but I can't actually hear anything. Vrindavan, yes. And therefore, who are the highest devotees? Yeah, Vrajavasi. Okay, thank you. You got it. The clue's there. Okay, basically, right? So the whole thing about the Bhagavatam is going to try and get to gradually glorifying the playground of God, which is Vrindavan, and the highest receptacles of love, which are the Vrajavasis, the residents of Vrindavan. So here, Queen Kunti is the first person, the first personality in Srimad Bhagavatam to reveal the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is to glorify the Vrajavasis. Okay? And in this Leela, it seems like Krishna is going weak. But actually, it's not weakness. Krishna's mercy is making Krishna all attractive, not weak. Okay? It's his mercy upon the Vrajavasis. It's his mercy upon Mother Yashoda, who's one of the Vrajavasis. And in terms of mercy and love, he's putting on the ornament of fear. These tears are like, you know how you got jewelry a woman wears, are ornaments. So the tear, the anger, the frustration of not getting the milk, then the grit in his teeth, all of these things are decoration on Krishna's love for Mother Yashoda. Ordinarily, if you didn't know this, you just seem that this is just weakness. He's afraid. He's a little kid, therefore he can't be God. Does that make sense? But fear is manifested in different varieties, different moods, or what we call different rasas. Love is manifested in different rasas, and one of the rasas is actually fear. Yeah? Like, Shamta, when your kids do something wrong and you've got to tell them off, but they're a bit cheeky at the same time, and they're afraid of you. And when you see, before someone calls social services, just prior to that, okay? They're afraid, but it charms your heart at the same time. Has that ever happened before? Before social services knocked on the door? It must have happened once or twice, right? Yeah. She said, no, they look cute enough before that, whatever happens, yeah? So it's charming. Sometimes that fear is charming for a mother as well, isn't it? Or if you're an uncle, you tell off the kid and the kid looks at it about his cry and everyone's like, yeah, like all that sort of cheesy stuff, right? It happens, isn't it, Alpa? Yeah, when the kids were more under your control. It was like that, right? Yeah, so these things are ornaments of Krishna's love for Mother Yashoda. In fact, I'm just putting a few things here I didn't write. Jiva Goswami says, the entire Damodar Leela is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy specifically to Mother Yashoda. Yeah? Do you remember I said this Damodar Leela is very unique because this, generally speaking, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Krishna Leela, you have interactions with Krishna and his devotees which is purely on the level of spontaneous love. No Aishwarya, no opulence, no knowledge of Krishna's godhood. And on the other extreme, like say Vaikuntha, there's not much sweetness, but there's full knowledge of Krishna's opulence and godhood. But this Leela is one of the few Leelas where you have Krishna's sweetness, spontaneous love of Vrindavan, and the opulence. Because if you remember, this binding of Krishna is taken forever. Yeah? So Mother Yashoda can't work it out. Mother Yashoda is one of these devotees, rare, who've experienced both. One time, just like Liam's yawning, Krishna was yawning, and what does Mother Yashoda see in Krishna's mouth? The whole universe. So that's Aishwarya together with sweetness. So Krishna has a specific, unique relationship with Mother Yashoda. Yeah? Does that make sense? Where both ends touch together. Okay, let's carry on. Yes, Queen Kunti is thinking, look, remember Queen Kunti's got her side of things, her transcendental ulterior motive, which is Krishna, stay with me. So Queen Kunti is thinking, you've been so merciful to mothers like Devaki, Rahini, and now Yashoda, so loving. And that love has allowed you to be trapped by Mother Yashoda, binded by Mother Yashoda. Am I not also a mother? Am I also not a devotee of you? Why won't you allow my love to bind you? Beautiful, right? So she's trying to think of all of the different Leelas. Maybe one day we could sort of taste that when we know a few of Krishna's Leelas well enough. we could also articulate a prayer where we're reminding ourselves of all of these different leelas and saying to Krishna, you've been reciprocating with all of these devotees, so why not with me? Yeah? That makes sense? Like this Damodar Leela, what happens at the end of the Damodar Leela? Who does he liberate again? Easy? Okay. Yeah, and who were they? Since you're on a roll now. Kuvera's son. So they were in the heavenly planets, right? And why did they get done up by Narad Muni?
Disrespected him by bathing naked.
Yeah, exactly. So they were very much intoxicated by the four things that we spoke about, right? We quickly outlined, was it the week before last? Or 2 weeks, anyway, 3 weeks ago maybe. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribir. Yeah, these four things. So they were intoxicated by these things. So you could even look at Radha Madhav next time, you know? Partner, next time you've sewn an outfit and say, you know, with these two individuals, you liberated them even though they had no bhakti for you. So what about me? I'm trying to achieve bhakti for you. Right? You can't force it on Krishna, but you could use it as a transcendental argument with Krishna. And Krishna says, yeah, you might have a point, like, you know. But that's because of Narad Muni and I allowed you because you, yeah, but anyway, fine, yeah. Maybe Panna, I should be more sympathetic to you. So like this, you could use these leelas and you could speak to Krishna using these leelas. You could speak Bhagavatam to Krishna with your ulterior motives. That's also transcendental as well. You know, it's possible. Just like, and you can say, no, but Queen Kunti did it and you allowed Queen Kunti, so why not me? Yeah? You could argue like this. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and I think those of you that come into all the house programs would have heard me saying this point, he gives this example. There's a type of bee that is going from one flower to another flower to another flower and extracting the nectar. And what happens is the stinger on the bottom of this bee is so sharp that if needed to, it could just burrow its way out of wood. It's that sharp. But sometimes you'll find this species of bee will sit in the middle of a lotus flower, and even though at night the lotus flower closes on itself, the bee, just being intoxicated by the pollen and having a nice time, voluntarily allows itself to be enclosed in that pollen. And when the pollen, in the flower, and when the lotus flower opens again, it flies off drunk. Yeah? So, those of you who've experienced like inebriation are laughing a little bit. Yeah, Hiran, you as well, huh? More so than the others, it seems like. Okay, so what happens is Krishna is allowing himself to be bound by the lotus-like beauty of the love of Mother Yashoda, when normally he could break out of anything. Any demon that's tried it with Krishna, what's happened? He's literally punched them in the face, broken through their body, like nothing could really bind him or trap him. Here he's voluntarily allowing himself to be trapped by Mother Yashoda's love for some time because he's just tasting the reciprocation of her bhakti. And in that way he's bound for a little while and then he becomes unbound and he's free again. Yeah? So it's a very beautiful pastime. Was I going to say anything else? So yeah, in short, because I'm trying to rush through this to make some progress today, this is bewildering. So not only that Krishna is afraid, even though he instills fear in fear personified, but the nature of Krishna's love and the devotee's love for Krishna is binding even Krishna. Now, how many of you have even heard of this before you became proper devotees? Or heard it from a devotee? No one, right? So imagine if someone invites you to some Bhagavat Shapta and the person speaking, whatever is speaking, and they come across this Leela, and they just tell the Leela as it is. And they say, yo, this is God, by the way. How many of you would believe it, just with that explanation? None of you, right? It would make no sense whatsoever. Like some of you are thinking, no one's instilling fear in me, and this is just a baby boy that's just, you know, as soon as the mum lifts up the stick, he's running around and can't even like race his mum and beat his mum. You know, what's that all about? So this is another reason, and it's probably one of the main reasons why most people just don't get Krishna, because Krishna firstly doesn't allow himself to be gotten by them, but they haven't gone through a devotee or a pure devotee or someone who's trying to practice purely the secrets of Krishna Leela. So therefore Krishna will always remain a mystery for them. Does that make sense? Okay, let's carry on because it's the same theme. We're going from 31 to 32. Thankfully, I know some of you are struggling to find that on your book. So we're going to the next verse here. Again, the same theme, the same question. But why do people misunderstand your Leela? So now Queen Kunti is going to give 3 reasons in the next few verses about why Krishna appears. And without knowing this, again, you'll still be confused about his Leela. So we've spoken about combination of internal and external reasons. Okay, let's get to verse 32. Again, more oxymorons, more paradoxes. Krishna, do you want to read this one out?
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu. One of the dearest devotees, you appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
Okay, I was going to just steamroll ahead. What do you think this verse is getting at? Any guesses?
Just how people see Krishna as he is showing himself to people rather than devotees.
Okay. Yep, Liam?
Maybe try to justify why he was born in this family.
Easy. Okay, yeah, Liam, that's good. That's the correct answer. I was trying to stretch it out a bit, but yeah, you've nailed it. So what does this mean, this sandalwood and Malaya Hills? What's that? And what's the connection?
It's natural
To that vicinity, right?
vicinity, yeah.
So just like generally speaking, you could find sandalwood in that region of those hills. In the same way, Krishna seems to be appearing in a certain dynasty. Those of you that have done the Bhagavatam course, do you remember the two main dynasties from which the Kshatriya lineage originate from? Huh? Yes, okay. So you got the moon god and the sun god, and from them you get the different dynasties. So for example, Lord Ram is in the solar dynasty, and Krishna is in the lunar or the moon dynasty. Okay, so there's different Kshatriyas that originate from this. And then, who's this? Kamlesh. Hi, Baba. Hi, Krishna.
Okay.
Get in there.
I'm going now, you have to lock.
Excellent. I'm there.
Set the alarm, okay?
Okay.
And I'll lock from the lock.
Jay. Okay. We should just set a time for that every week, I think. I'll set an alarm next time. Okay, so, just getting into that point, a few things here. So, Queen Kunti is saying Krishna is unborn. We've spoken about that. Another reason why that is Krishna is timeless. Time is his energy. Time is his creation. Therefore, he must lie beyond the scope of time. But Krishna crosses from his domain into the domain he creates, which is bound by space and time. Yeah? So he's unborn, but he takes birth because he's beyond the scope of time, and then he comes within the domain of time. And that's why it seems like to us, in the same way the sun seems to be born and dies, it seems like Krishna appears and then disappears. But Krishna is always there, actually. Yeah? Okay, so Queen Kunti is now going from this explanation of he doesn't just come to this world to love his pure devotees, but there's other reasons. There's a few other reasons, okay? And in here, we can see one of those reasons. The first reason that she mentions, first reason that she mentions is to proclaim his opinion of what constitutes true religion and who is a true protector of religion. Okay, we've got a purport to this, but I haven't put the purport to the end, so that doesn't help. Okay, so the idea is Krishna wants to set the example of what is Vedic Sanatan Dharma and who should maintain it and what their personality is like, what their character is, what lessons we can learn. So therefore he appears in a certain dynasty, and it's representing even the kings before his appearance as well. So who's the king that's mentioned in this verse? King Yadu. Okay, so he's come here to glorify King Yadu. Anyone knows anything about King Yadu? What's King Yadu famous for or infamous for? Anyone knows?
He was a dear devotee.
He was a?
He was a dear devotee.
Dear devotee means like a very close to someone?
Yeah.
Or an actual dear? Very dear. Okay, now we're stating the obvious. Okay, he was dear. Dear to Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, yeah. I mean, okay, that's good. You're trying to bank on safe points there. I'm not going to accept it, Liam. Okay?
Wasn't he the one who renounced material enjoyment to do devotional service instead?
Ooh, not quite. But it's a good stab. That comes a bit later, actually. Not with him, though. Oh, no, actually, sorry. It's close, but not quite. Sorry. I'm thinking of his father. So who's... Okay, I don't know if any of you can remember. Manisha, you can remember? Yadu's father?
I just remember 73 generations going up from...
Okay, then it's one of those generations. Which one is it? Okay, King Yayati. Okay? you don't need to remember all of his names, but basically what happened, long story short, because it's a whole episode in the Bhagavatam, he got cursed by his father-in-law to become prematurely old. Then when he repented and said, no, please, I still want to enjoy with your daughter, my wife, I have all of these desires to enjoy with her. He said, okay, you could pass on this old age to one of your sons if they volunteer to take it on. So he goes to his eldest son, who would have been the next in line to take the throne, which was Yadu. And Yadu said no. I think the middle son said no. And then Puru, the younger son, said yes. So what he said to Yadu was, actually, because you said no to me, your generations, you and the generation before you, which have inherited the whole kingdom, you actually are going to get dethroned from it. And he gave everything to Puru. And then you have the Puru dynasty as a result of that. Which is one of the reasons why Arjun looks at Krishna and says, you're from the Yadu dynasty, so actually you're lower than us. It's because of this incident. Okay? But Yadu still are kings in their own right, in a different way. So what happened there is the Acharyas say, Yadu did the right thing because he's got a certain dharmic duty to his father. And his father was looking for his help, and he said no. And the middle son, I think, also said no. And Puru actually was the only one that did his dharmic duty and said yes. He exchanged his youth with his father's old age, so his father could enjoy for a while. And then when his father had fulfilled his desires, they re-exchanged old age and youth again. And then he carried on with his life. But the Acharyas say the middle son was wrong. So therefore he gets a karmic reaction. The middle son rejected his father's desire for sense enjoyment. That me getting old age now would just affect my life and my convenience, so therefore I'm not going to. But Yadu rejected it for a spiritual reason. What was the spiritual reason? The Acharyas say Yadu knew that Krishna was going to appear in his lineage. So he didn't want to mess about, elongate his life. He just wanted to take to spiritual practice, whatever the repercussions. And this is one of these instances that show, in terms of dharmic duty, nothing trumps family dharma apart from Krishna consciousness. It's the only thing you could say, nah, that's fine, you guys deal with this. I'm just focusing on this. You won't get any karmic duty, whereas normally people would get karmic duty for avoiding family duties. You still got to be responsible and sensitive with it, for sure. But here, Yadu didn't get any karmic reaction. And instead, he got Krishna in his dynasty. Yeah? In the same way, we're trying to expedite Krishna's arrival in our family, ultimately in our heart. Will we let family dharma or lower dharma, even if it's dharma, get in the way? It's up to us. Yeah? Does that make sense? So because Yadu made that decision, Krishna picked him and appeared in his dynasty. Right? Just like sandalwood appears always in the Malaya hills. Then, the other reason as well is not just Yadu. Did I put this as the third point? I've forgotten now. Okay, no, let's just read this first. This was the purport I was talking about. Who wants to read? Abhimanyu, do you want to read this one? Can you see it from there?
Yeah. Ish.
Just borrow Shivani's glasses, you'll see it. Yeah? Or Krishna. Maybe both of their glasses, like a telescope. You could see it like that. Yeah.
Lord Shri Krishna certainly wanted to establish the kingdom of the Pandavas for the good of all in the world. When there is a pious king ruling over the world, the people are happy. When the ruler is impious, the people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious. Therefore, the citizens are also continuing to be unhappy. In the age of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representatives to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for them.
Excellent. I thought that would just be good, just to let us know that Krishna often comes to establish Dharma, re-establish Dharma, and he does that in association with the kings that most represent him, and being able to govern society, to raise them up the yoga ladder ultimately. So, we spoke about Yadu. Ultimately, he chose to neglect ordinary worldly Dharma for Krishna consciousness. He chose to incur his father's wrath, right? Just like, whatever it is, it could be a curse, whatever it might be, no problem. But he'd rather do that than give up the opportunity to take to spiritual life in this lifetime. Yeah? He said, you messed it up yourself, you get realized, but for me, I'm progressing as I should be progressing. Ultimately, my life is to usher in Krishna. Yeah, Abhimanyu.
Could you not argue that his father's desire was also on the platform of sense enjoyment? So
His father's desire was, yeah. Yayati's desire, yeah.
So for the middle son to then have a negative karmic reaction, is that not a bit unfair? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is where karma gets very complicated. So you see, if we're trying, this is the whole thing about the Mahabharata. If you read the Mahabharata, especially there's chapters about who went to heaven and who fell out of heaven for whatever they did, and the whole list of activities are read out, and they fall sometimes for the most insignificant reasons, like they didn't look at a Brahmana, or they gave the Brahmana the wrong thing. And the idea is if you're just trying to do things in terms of dharma and karma, you'll ultimately fail. That's basically it. So as soon as the family dynamics becomes one of let's help each other in sense enjoyment, yeah, it's difficult to work out what's good, what's beneficial, what's not beneficial. The one person that won't be implicated is the one that does things properly. That make sense? Okay.
May I ask something?
Yeah.
So here it says it's from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the numbers.
Yeah, and the P is the purport, so Prabhupada's explanation of that verse.
Okay. When was that written?
What, the purport?
No.
The Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah.
Oh, so yes, okay. So Srimad Bhagavatam, all of these Vedic scriptures are written down by Veda Vyas after Krishna left the planet. So sometime after he left the planet and when he wrote it. So we normally estimate around about 5,000 years.
Okay. I'm asking because it's talking about democracy.
Now this is Prabhupada's explanation.
Oh, okay.
So he, you know, like if you look at the books, you got the verse, and then Prabhupada explains it in a modern way as well.
Oh, got you.
So yeah. Now Krishna's not talking about this stuff, yeah.
The Bhagavatam was the start of Kali Yuga, wasn't it?
No, Krishna leaving is the start of Kali Yuga.
Yeah, that's then this book appeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam comes to give solace for people in Kali Yuga.
Okay.
So it doesn't mark the start of it, but it gives, it's like the sun rising basically in the darkness of Kali. Okay, another reason why Krishna appears in the dynasty of the moon gods is often there's many great personalities. I can see some of you have fallen asleep, so I'm going to give you some work to do right now in groups of 2 or 3. What is going to be the the classwork? Let's just write it here. There's one king that's very famous in the moon dynasty. Shall we pay, what's that gang? Hangman or whatever it's called. No, let's not. I ain't got that much time, okay? Begins with the letter S. It's a king. No. Okay.
S and a U.
No. Okay. Next letter. Don't worry, we're not playing hangman. Sorry, let me just write it, okay? S. So it could either be spelled S with this diacritic, sh, or SH. Anyone knows? I. B. Yeah, if you were playing hangman, you would be hanging yourself by the end of this one, yeah, for sure. H. There's only one more letter. A, you got that wrong. King Shibi. Definitely. Next 5 minutes, look him up on Google. Understand the Leela he's famous for and what lessons you could learn from it. You got 5 minutes. Go for it. You could do it in groups of 3. So look it up. Also, I'm interested in the lessons you can learn from it. So it's not just you look it up and then you whack it out and recite it. But what do you learn from it? Why is he important? Why is this Leela immortalized? Why is Krishna therefore appearing? What are you supposed to learn from it and take away from it in your own lives? Everyone online who didn't see me writing, it was King Shibi. I can't, oh no, I can put it in the chat here. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I guess you didn't know that one. Okay, so if you could look up King Shibi on Google, just find out what he's famous for, that pastime, and what lessons you can learn from it. Why does Krishna come in this lineage to highlight personalities like King Shibi and their selfless nature?
I'll try again, but I think my phone's dead.
Okay, so team up with someone. Okay, any thoughts? Yes, Anisha, what thoughts do you have?
That's quite a story.
It was, huh? Just so I know it's a correct story, can you tell me some particulars about it?
This king was trying to protect a dove from a hawk, and he let himself get eaten.
He let himself get eaten. Okay. Was there more to the story than that, or?
The hawk and the dove revealed themselves as divine beings in the end.
Okay, you forgot that part, huh? Because it's key. Otherwise, it's quite a morbid story, yeah? Okay, Vasant, yep.
No, I was going to say, like, just in terms of like, the lessons you learn from it. Like,
Okay, yeah.
one of them I found like really quite interesting was like how he kept his promise no matter what. So in terms of even though he had wanted to protect the dove, he'd obviously given a promise that whatever the dove's weight is, he would give that in his own flesh. And even when it wasn't enough, regardless of how many times he was putting more and more flesh on, he without hesitation he put himself on the scale. So I just thought that was like quite amazing that he was able to sacrifice his own body, for the sake of holding on his word, upholding the dogma.
Yeah.
That makes him a king. Was quite interesting.
Nice. Okay, yeah, good. Anyone else? Any other points from that you garnered, wanted to share? Yep, Shanice?
Just going off the back of what you said, like it came up about absolute compassion. He showcases mercy by ensuring that no creature suffers, not even the whole.
Yo, what are you reading off?
Needing food. Google.
Aye.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, fine, go and read it. Yeah, go on.
We were just saying that actually people can show compassion, but to show absolute compassion, it's completely different. So, like with this, you can show courage, but actually
To what extent or
yeah.
limit, yeah.
So everybody's going to have that weakness of actually, yes, I've done this, I've protected the vulnerable to a degree, but actually...
Yeah, when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Yes, so Krishna is saying, he's appearing in this lineage to say, these are the kings that I want. Ones that maintain dharma, ones that see all citizens in the kingdom, including animals, as equal. And therefore they should all be protected. And the king's happiness, safety, security, if there's a hierarchy, it should be at the lowest compared to those of his citizens. Willing to do absolutely everything. And if it comes down to it, there's complete integrity there. Right? That is what a Vedic king looks, sounds like, acts like. Yeah? That's the type of person that I want. So that's why Krishna appears in that lineage. Yeah? Shamta, you seem a bit like...
Well, yeah.
You're asking, do you need to kill yourself now? Or what are you asking now?
No, I mean, it's not the case anymore today. I'm just thinking how drastic the change is.
It was the case you were going to kill yourself. I didn't quite understand what you said there.
No, I never said that I was going to.
Oh, did I hear that wrong or was that...
No.
Okay, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Wait. No, I heard it wrong or yeah, I heard it wrong?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. All right, yeah. Okay, fine. All right, we clarified that, Shamta, I think. Okay, good. All right, so yeah, this is basically what integrity means in Vedic culture. And so therefore, essentially all of these main kings in that lineage are exemplars of that, yeah? Of protecting their citizens no matter what, at whatever cost. Of course, King Shibi is assumed to be a pure devotee that can see the super soul in everything. So it's also a symptom of how advanced he is as well. So these two things go together. You can't try and imitate that because we're not on that level. The minute we feel like a paper cut, we're like, yo, forget the blade. Like, I'm going home. I'm calling sick today, right? Isn't it? No, I mean, so it's also a reflection of how advanced they are, that they could do these things. So the demigods are testing the ability of this king specifically for a reason, because he's so exalted, so amazing. Therefore, they could test him so far. Yeah? Okay, I'm just going to try and blitz through a couple of verses. Did somebody else have their hand up here? I think I'm seeing some movement. No? Liam, did you have your hand up earlier or not?
I was going to say that he developed almost like he developed a position where he was like quite famous, and then Agni and Indra, they kind of like came to test him on that and see whether he was actually just doing it for show.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, obviously it just goes to show like he actually did have like quite divine values.
Yeah. In the Bhagavatam, you have the case of the Avanti Brahmana, and it said for the sannyasis, and not just literally the sannyasis, but anyone who's trying to tread on the devotional path, the demigods themselves come in the form of obstacles to take you off the path. That's part of their service as well. So be warned. Okay, all right. Let's go from 30 through to the next couple of verses. we're talking about different reasons for Krishna's appearance, and if we don't understand this is why we misunderstand Krishna's Leela. Queen Kunti is going to give 2 more reasons, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, Priya, you want to read this one out?
I'll just say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Okay, so now she's given a higher reason than just appearing in a lineage and glorifying the previous kings and their dharmic abilities. So it's still dharmic reasons, but higher still. So here he's coming to immortalize Vasudeva and Devaki's devotion. What's so famous about their devotion to Krishna? I think I've said it once or twice before in the last few weeks and months. But what did they do that was so amazing? Huh?
They gave him up.
Okay, Niksha. Sorry, I was looking at Kushbu. Yes, it was Niksha behind Kushbu. They gave him up? Yeah, good. So they gave him, so after, okay, just to set it up for us. So they gave him up. What happened prior to that?
So they were imprisoned by Kamsa because of the voice that when they had gotten married, that your 8th son is going to be the death of you. So he, after having threatened to kill Devaki and after some negotiation, he imprisoned them, and every single child up to the 7th child he killed, and then the 7th child was a girl, and I think she also slipped away, and then the 8th child, when the 8th child was born, miraculously their chains were sort of broke free, the prison doors opened, and Vasudeva was able to take him to Yashoda and Maharaj, and they swapped children, the 2 children. I think they also came back with a baby as well. And when Kamsa came, when the baby was born, she slipped away and said that the 8th child is still alive and it's going to be death of you. But basically, Vasudeva and Devaki gave up, even though Krishna was born there, they saw him as as the supreme personality, and then he took the form of a baby, and they gave him up.
Yeah, nice. So under the threat of death, their death and the death of their children, they decided not to give up their service to Krishna. So Krishna comes to be their son to immortalize their devotion. Yeah? It's immortalized because why? Every time we think of Janmashtami, we think of those 2. And like I said, Janmashtami is happening every single universe, every single day, something that's happening. So it's synonymous with the Leela of Janmashtami, Vasudeva and Devaki, always, that prison cell, Mathura. And so Krishna picked them. In the same way he's picking the the lunar dynasty, he's picking specifically these 2 as their parents, yeah? Okay, so this is a higher reason still. What did I write here? Continued service, yeah, in extreme situations. And like Niksha was saying, seemingly very little reciprocation, at least initially. As soon as they got the fruits of their labor, Krishna says, yo, let's go, take me over there. They just had to give them up. And for many, many years, until Krishna was the age of 11, basically they didn't get to see Krishna again. Only heard about him maybe through rumors. And we see, just like Kamsa grabbed Devaki's hair and was just about to chop off her head, similarly, what did Krishna do? Krishna killed Kamsa, dragged him by the hair all around Mathura. Yeah? So there's a lot of symmetry there in Krishna Leela. Okay, I'm just blitzing through to the next one now. 34. Hemant, do you want to read this? No? Okay. Okay, what about the 2 that don't really come? One of you could decide amongst yourself. Or you could split it if it's too much of a headache. Oh, wow.
I'll just say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Rama, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
Okay, so then higher still than what we explained in the last couple of verses is this, which is the Dharma of compassion. Yeah? Compassion for every living entity. So here we understand Mother Earth was overburdened, she goes to Brahma, they all go to the ocean of the shore of the milk ocean, pray to Shiradakshai Vishnu, who hears them and then says, don't worry, Krishna will come, basically. Yeah? So Mother Earth was just crying at the state of the living entities, being overburdened by all of these demoniac kings and rulers and forces, so she needed help. So it was a strain on her. So, what did I write here? Okay, so the Dharma of compassion is higher still. We spoke about all of the demigods headed by Brahma and Shiva together with Mother Earth in the form of a bull. And therefore Krishna comes to reduce the burden on Earth and save everyone here. Okay, we'll just say this one quick pastime and then we'll give it a close because it's 8:46 now. So yeah, I read this pastime a few months ago, or maybe last year, I can't remember where it is. But it's a very beautiful pastime. Do you remember I was saying Krishna dreams often and the gopis dream often? Some of you have been to a few house programs I've done recently, you've heard me saying some of these dreams. So this is a very nice dream. One time Krishna, the gopis were playing, Krishna had fallen asleep in Vrindavan, and this is what he started saying in his dream, in his sleep, out loud, so the gopis were hearing. He said, Mother Earth, so Bhumi Devi, okay? Bhumi Mata, please be calm. Know for sure that the burden you've been experiencing will certainly be removed. Have I not practically killed the demon Kamsa already? And so this poet is saying the gopis hearing this became stunned in wonder. All glories to the words Lord Krishna spoke in his sleep. So Krishna was thinking of Mother Earth's pleas to him. For such a long time he was even dreaming of his devotee and trying to reassure his devotee even in his sleep. And then when the gopis heard this, the gopis like, who the hell is our boyfriend here? Like, you know, sometimes you might get a boyfriend, you find out he's an undercover millionaire, you think, yo, jackpot. So the gopis like, oh, this ain't like a normal gopa. We did quite well. It's talking about Mother Earth and the demigods and all of this stuff is happening. Okay, I was hoping to get to the next one, but don't worry. What will happen is we'll get to the ultimate reason for Krishna's descent according to Queen Kunti, and then we're going to summarize her reflections and the meanings of Krishna's activities in verse 36. So that will come next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we made a bit of progress. We're on slide 80.